Hello. I would like to thank my audience first for being here for my presentation. My name is Betsy Feliciano and my presentation today is on abuse of prescription drugs. Throughout our lives, we have encountered people who we may not be aware that are going through drug prescription abuse. Many of these people we may assume are individuals who are coming from the poor community, homeless who are addicted, and also perhaps we could envision a person going through misuse as perhaps a gang member who abuses drugs. Well, drug abuse does not discriminate against age, race, ethnicity, or any of that. As we can see, what do these three people have in common? Elvis Presley, Michael Jackson, and Marilyn Monroe were three known people that were at some point in their life misused a prescription drug one way or another. What is prescription drug abuse? It is the misuse of a prescription drug. We can misuse a prescription drug in many different forms. A couple ways we can misuse it is by taking it in a higher dosage than what was prescribed by the doctor, taking somebody else's prescription, using a prescription for pleasure, for example, to get high, and also taking it in a different method than directed by the doctor. Who is susceptible to addiction? This graph shows us the individuals that are very susceptible to becoming addicted. Those from the age group of 18 to 25 are the most vulnerable. We can also see individuals that take medications on a regular basis are very vulnerable to becoming addicted, and also young people, older people, and women are at higher risk. People who take drugs for health reasons are also vulnerable. Now that I have talked about what drug misuse is and who is susceptible, I will now talk about the dangers of misusing a prescription drug. We can see that the National Centers for Drug Abuse Statistics tells us that 12% of prescription drug abusers are addicted, which is 60 million people. 6% of Americans over the age of 12 abuse prescription in a year. That is 2 million people. 12% prescription drug abusers are addicted. That equals 82%. And 4 out of 5 pharmacy-filled prescriptions are opioids. The dangers of prescription drugs include a list of addiction, irregular heartbeat, inability to think clearly. It causes a person's brain activity to reduce. We can also see that a person's behavioral changes and also can lead to coma and even death. The CDC reported in 2021 approximately 16,706 people died from an overdose involving prescription opioids. In 2021, approximately 12,400 people died from overdose. As we can see, many people are dying from a whole bunch of different prescription drugs and by misusing them. Now that I have explained, I will now talk about how this affects the public's health and how it is threatened by prescription drugs. A couple ways we can see that it affects the public's health is by increasing the amount of overdoses that the general public will experience. We also see that prescription drugs and other unknown illegal drugs could be combined and be mixed, and leading to a number of deaths and even hospitalizations. We can see that it leads to a higher amount of addictions, and it affects our health, including HIV, hepatitis, and infections, which can lead to an outbreak. This chart shows us just how many overdoses we have had since the 1980s. Now that I have talked about how this affects the public's health, I will now talk about how we can help stop individuals from misusing prescription drugs. A couple of ways we can help them is by educating them, by informing them how to properly use their prescription and how not to use the prescription. By taking your medication as prescribed by your doctor, never changing the dosage without consulting your doctor, or also by avoiding taking somebody else's medication is another way we can help by helping individuals from misusing prescription drugs. This quote says that we should educate patients and we can see a different outcome if we do. Now that I have talked about that, we will be now addressing how we can address this issue. A couple ways we can address this issue is by providing counseling, therapy, providing medications for those individuals, giving those individuals advice, creating regulations and laws to help this, implementing them and helping them with these, providing them with detoxifications, are just a couple ways we can help the general public and those individuals come out of this prescription drug abuse. Mayo Clinic says that treatment options for prescription drug abuse vary depending on the type of drug used and your needs, but counseling is usually a key part of treatment. Treatment may also require withdrawals, also called detoxification, addictions, medicines, and recovery support. Conclusion. People who have access to prescription medications can treat a wide range of illnesses and conditions which can be beneficial but also damaging. This has been an opportunity to take the chance to talk about the risk and the prescription and how prescription medications and how abusing them can cause addiction and how it can be very damaging for one's health and the general public. Prescription drug abuses has a negative impact on the neighborhood. Working with other members of the community is a great way to solve the issues. We might be able to decrease the use of prescription medication using any one of these strategies that I have provided in the slideshow. I would like to thank my audience once again for being here present for my presentation, and thank you very much. Have a good night.